They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But honestly, sometimes it tastes a whole lot sweeter at 3 a.m. when you're standing there in the dark, binoculars pressed to your face, listening to the low hum of tow trucks while your heart's pounding so loud you're half worried someone will hear it. That was me, tucked behind an old pine tree, watching as chains tightened and engines idled in the freezing air, the smell of motor oil hanging so thick you could taste it. And let me tell you, I never expected to be the guy orchestrating some midnight operation to reclaim what was mine, but here we are. You want to know how a normal guy ends up in the middle of all this? Let me back up a sec, because it really started 3 days earlier, when I realized everything I thought I knew about small-town life, about property and fairness, was a lie. I'd been busting my back for a decade as an architect in the city, dreaming about finally getting back to Clearwater Lake, you know? The plan was simple. Build a little cabin on the land Grandpa Marcus left me. Just 2.3 acres of woods and wildflowers, the last thing that tied me to him. He'd bought it back in the late 80s with every penny he had, always saying land was a family's honor, and you don't let anyone take it from you. Not ever. So imagine this. I'm driving up, expecting to see that overgrown meadow and the old oak tree, but what I find is an asphalt road slicing right through my inheritance like a surgeon's scalpel, with a sign that says Lakeshore Express Lane, authorized HOA residents only. I can't even explain the feeling, rage, confusion, just pure disbelief. I park, step out, and my brain's already calculating the damage. They hadn't just encroached, they'd straight up stolen a third of my land, poured concrete, put in storm drains, the works. You know what I mean? This was a real operation. Before I could even catch my breath, a silver Mercedes pulls up and out steps this woman. Heather Langston, head of the Willowbrook HOA. Dressed so sharp I felt like my boots were about to scuff her shoes. She gives me this look, like I'm the one trespassing, then hands me a fat envelope. Itemized invoice, contract, all of it. Infrastructure enhancement fee, HOA membership activation, monthly maintenance. And buried in the fine print, if I don't pay, they take the land. That's when I see a permit with my name signed at the bottom. A signature that's almost right, but not quite. Somebody went out of their way to forge my consent. Heather plays it off as some county reclassification thing, says it's all above board, and keeps glancing at her phone, like she's waiting for a call from the real boss. And as I'm about to leave, I spot something weird. The road doesn't go to the main county route like it should. Instead, it curves off toward the lake and disappears into woods near the state border. That's not community development. That's a cover for something. When Heather thought I couldn't hear, she whispered into her phone about direct access to an industrial zone, investors who don't like delays. That's when it hit me. This was theft with a purpose. I left that place feeling like I'd been mugged. But you know what Grandpa always said? Honor's not about what you own. It's what you're willing to do to protect what's right. So, sure, I could have called a lawyer, but something about their slickness made me want to beat them at their own game. I set up a shell company, Marcus Development Corporation, after Grandpa, full website, business cards, the whole 9 yards. Then I call the HOA, pitching myself as a private investor with serious capital. Heather's assistant nearly purrs at the mention of money, sets up a lunch at Romano's. That meeting was a train wreck. She caught on to me quick, grilled me about permits, did her due diligence, and found out Marcus Development was a ghost. She cornered me in the parking lot, gave me the old, "We have powerful friends, don't mess with us" speech. I went home, licking my wounds, half beat but not out. Now, my lawyer, Rebecca Torres, she's been dealing with our family's land since Grandpa passed, calls me up and basically says, "Nathan, you need evidence, not drama." She's right, but I can't just sit on my hands. So I pull in a favor from Jake Morrison, an old college buddy who does TV commercials now. Got that honest, trustworthy face everyone believes. Together, we build a real-seeming land survey company, Morrison Digital Survey Solutions, complete with drone, licenses, even a spot on Google. Jake's team goes in for an infrastructure assessment. While they're surveying, I slip GPS trackers under all the HOA board's cars, Heather's Mercedes, Reynolds' BMW, Monroe's Tesla, Klein's Caddy, and Walsh's Audi. Real spy stuff. The plan? Watch where they go. But the twist came from the drone footage. Deep in those woods, someone's pouring concrete, running utilities, building something massive, totally off the books. And those trackers? Every Thursday night, all 5 cars hit this warehouse complex way south of town, stay till 3 a.m., then scatter. The place is loaded with unmarked trucks, heavy security. The road through my property leads straight there. Whatever these folks are up to, it's big and definitely not legal. So now I need a bigger spotlight. Enter David Park, local legend, digital journalist, exposes corruption from his mom's garage, and has 500,000 subscribers. I hand him the drone footage, the GPS data, everything. David turns it into an internet bombshell. YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, the works. Suddenly, the story blows up. Hashtags trend, whistleblowers crawl out of the woodwork. Turns out, I'm not the only one they scammed. Margaret Thompson, 73, shows up with years of old meeting minutes, and a vet named Robert Kim hands over receipts for fraudulent fees. All of us, squeezed by fake bills and legal threats for years. But the real shock is the trucks. Comments start pouring in about late-night convoys heading south toward the border, license plates covered, no way stations, no DOT numbers. This isn't about property anymore. It's something way darker. Of course, Heather's crew fires back hard. Cease and desist letters, smear campaigns, bots spamming our story as anti-community. My phone rings off the hook with official complaints, and then one morning, Detective Lou from the county comes knocking. They've flipped the script, claiming I'm harassing them. My lawyer Rebecca rolls in with a box of original deeds and Margaret's evidence. The interview flips fast. The cops realize it's not about me, it's about the HOA. Suddenly, there's a criminal conspiracy case. The DA's office gets involved, and an emergency injunction freezes all their assets. The next few days are a blur. Court filings, viral videos, every local news station camping outside my cabin. The dominoes fall. William Reynolds, turns out he's actually Michael Davidson, wanted for racketeering, tries to broker a backdoor deal. When he realizes I know too much, he ghosts. Then their cars vanish, one by one. Heather's Mercedes at the impound lot, Reynolds' BMW at the border checkpoint, Monroe's Tesla outside the warehouse, the rest at IRS and FBI offices. All thanks to some creative tech work and a few anonymous tips. Each car is a treasure trove. Inside Monroe's Tesla, hard drives, payment schedules, trafficking routes. By now, federal agents are crawling all over Willowbrook. The secret's out. This isn't just HOA fraud. The road through my land. It was a key route for human trafficking, with millions laundered through shell companies, fake fees, and community improvement projects. The warehouse was the hub. The HOA board, Heather, Reynolds, Monroe, Klein, Walsh. Turns out they weren't just greedy, they were organized, ruthless, and connected to a network spanning half the Southwest. The trial becomes a national circus. Margaret testifies, so do dozens of families. Heather, in an orange jumpsuit, gets 12 years for racketeering and trafficking. The others get sentences that fit their role. My land is restored, the HOA dissolved, and its assets used to compensate victims. But here's the thing. I could have just built my cabin and called it a win, but with Margaret and the other families, we turned that land into the Clearwater Community Center. Legal clinics, garden plots, a place where nobody's going to get bullied out of what's theirs ever again. David's footage becomes a documentary, spurs new laws in 12 states. His channel turns nonprofit and helps expose similar scams all over the country. 6 months later, I'm sitting on my new porch, smaller cabin but a bigger view, watching Margaret organize a workshop, kids laughing in the garden. The only thing echoing off the lake now is peace. Sometimes, yeah, revenge tastes great, but justice shared with your neighbors? That's a whole new kind of satisfaction. Look, if you stuck with me this far, maybe you've got a story like this, or you know someone fighting some unfair battle with City Hall or an HOA that's lost its mind. Don't let them make you feel small. Stand up, speak out, and if you want to see more stories about regular folks taking on corruption, hit that like button, leave a comment, and share your own experience down below. Because sometimes the smallest fight can change everything, and we all need to know we're not alone.